At the beginning of the movie, we see a large mansion. Then we see a terrified woman named Jessel, who is running away from someone inside the mansion. She quickly unlocks her car and drives off, while a young girl named Flora watches her from a window. Jessel reaches the main gate only to find it closed. Panicking, she gets out of the car and struggles to open it. She finally manages to unlock the gate, but a man suddenly appears behind her, and the scene cuts. Next, we see a close-up of an eye, and inside it, a corridor appears as the camera slowly pulls back. We are then introduced to Kate, a professional tutor who has been offered a job by her school to work as a live-in nanny for an 8-year-old girl named Flora. She agrees to take the job because Flora lost her parents a few years ago, and her previous nanny had abandoned her. Kate tells her friends that she understands what it's like to grow up without parents. Her own mother suffers from severe mental illness and is in a sanatorium. She sees things that aren't real, and Kate is afraid she might end up like her. Kate plans to visit her one last time before leaving for her new job. Her friend asks if she'll be okay there. Kate replies that she is going from 25 screaming kids to just one little girl. How hard could it be?
Comment. Subscribe to Recapss Horror.
The next day, Kate visits her mother at the sanatorium and finds her sketching inside an empty swimming pool. She approaches her and tells her that she's leaving for her new job today, and explains about Flora, who lives alone with her housekeeper. Kate's mother, Darla, tells her it's a big responsibility, but Kate insists she can handle it. Darla then gives her a sketch, Kate's portrait. With that, Kate leaves. We then see Kate arriving near the mansion. As she enters, the gate closes on its own. When she reaches the mansion and gets out of her car, she is amazed by how huge it is. She knocks on the door and rings the bell, but no one answers. She begins exploring the outside and peeks through a window. As she moves ahead, she eventually meets Miss Gross. Gross welcomes her and lets her inside. Kate asks if it's just her and Flora living there. Gross explains that cleaners and a gardener come every few weeks, but most of the time, it's only her and Flora. Miles, Flora's brother, stays at a boarding school. She tells her that she has served the family since Flora's father was a child. Kate asks how Flora's parents died, and Gross explains that they were killed in a tragic car accident right outside the gate, and Flora witnessed everything. Kate mentions that her own father left her when she was Flora's age, but Gross doesn't show much interest. Kate then asks where Flora is. Gross tells her she's down at the stables and gives her directions. Before leaving, Kate takes an apple from the fruit basket. While searching for Flora, Kate reaches the stables and hears strange noises. She cautiously steps inside, calling Flora's name. Suddenly, she hears something behind her, and as she follows the sound, a horse begins snorting loudly. Flora then appears from the side, laughing. She introduces Kate to her horse, Samson, who only lets Miles ride him, and to Delilah, her mother's horse. Flora claims Delilah wants her apple, leaving Kate shocked about how she knew she had one. Flora then introduces Kate to her doll, Dr. Felicity. She gives her a tour of the mansion, telling her she has no friends, and we see the two bonding. Flora mentions Jessel, and when Kate asks who she is, Flora explains she was her previous teacher who taught her French. She shows Kate Miles's room and her own, and then briefly mentions the East Wing, saying she doesn't go there, then runs off. She finally shows Kate her room, which Kate admires. Flora also introduces a mannequin she calls Grandma Sophie, and takes Kate to her great-grandmother's sewing room. She tells Kate that her mom used to take her shopping, but after her death, Jessel began making all her clothes in this room. Kate then notices a mannequin's bust covered in pins, and Flora says Miles did that, which Kate finds odd. The next day, Kate suggests taking Flora out for ice cream, but Mrs. Gross refuses, insisting Flora never leaves the property and has everything she needs here. Kate finds this strange. Later that night, Flora stands by her window, staring at the pond when Kate enters. Flora asks if she will also leave her like Miss Jessel did without saying goodbye. Kate comforts her, assuring her that Jessel must have left in the way she thought was best, and promises Flora she'll never leave her. While closing the window, Kate sees a ghostly figure that vanishes instantly. She is terrified, but she tries to ignore it. Back in her room, as she unpacks, she is spooked by Grandma Sophie's mannequin. She drags it back to the sewing room and turns its head away. She then removes the pins from the other mannequin's bust, and just as she's leaving, the sewing machine suddenly starts running on its own. Kate rushes to shut it off, but as she walks out, Sophie's mannequin head turns by itself. Later that night, while Kate is asleep, she hears voices and footsteps. Curious, she gets up and overhears a woman pleading with a man not to touch her. As she goes out to check, a sudden clap of thunder startles her. From what she hears, the man is forcing himself on the woman. Kate moves toward the source of the noise and reaches a room, but finds it empty. The wind rattles the window, and as she tries to close it, the door slams shut and she gets trapped in the courtroom. She struggles, finally unlocks the door, and finds Miles standing there. He introduces himself and warns her that she shouldn't be there. Kate insists she heard something, but he tells her to go back to bed. The next morning, while going through Flora's books, Kate finds a notebook in which Jessel recorded Flora's daily progress, revealing that she is exceptionally bright. Jessel also noted that Miles had disappeared one day. Kate learns he had been taken to a bar and returned late, laughing as if drunk. Outside, she sees Miles and Flora playing together. Miles apologizes for being rude the night before. Kate accepts his apology and compliments his sweater. He says it's Quint's. Kate asks, "Who's Quint?" And Mrs. Gross tells her that he was the riding instructor. Miles adds that he managed the estate and was the best. Kate asks, "Isn't he here anymore?" Miles tells her he died. Just then, the phone rings and Flora rushes to answer it. Miles asks Kate if she rides horses. She replies, "Not really," and Miles offers to teach her. Kate agrees. Meanwhile, Flora says the call is from the headmaster at Miles' school. He wants to speak with his guardian. Kate takes the call, and the headmaster tells her something serious. She thanks him and disconnects, but when Miles asks what it was about, she lies, saying it was about his homework. Miles says, "Okay," and starts to leave, but Kate stops him, saying he should at least take his plate to the kitchen. Miles protests, saying that's Mrs. Gross's job. Mrs. Gross insists she'll handle it and sends him off. Miles then tells Flora not to pick up her plate either, and they both leave. Gross remarks that the kids are born into privilege. Kate then reveals that Miles was expelled. He had attacked another student. A teacher had found him with his hands around another boy's neck, slamming his head into the bathroom tile. Mrs. Gross says, "Miles can't do it." Kate counters, "But he did. He's lucky the other boy's family isn't pressing charges." Mrs. Gross adds that the other boys have always been jealous of Miles. With that, she leaves. Later, Kate teaches Flora while Miles aggressively plays with a ball in the adjoining room, repeatedly slamming it against the wall. Kate grows irritated and tries to stop him, but in anger, Miles hits the ball even harder. Then, Kate notices a man entering Miles' room. Curious, she goes in and asks, "Is someone else here?" while starting to look around the room. Meanwhile, Miles holds a spider in his hand and says, "There's no one here." He then places the spider in a glass box, but suddenly, a larger spider appears and swallows it. Miles then goes to the washroom and starts urinating without closing the door. Feeling embarrassed, Kate steps out of the room, and in that moment, we see a man standing inside the room. Later at night, Kate speaks to her friend on the phone in her room. She reflects that she thought she only had to take care of one child, but here, there is also his older brother, and she mentions that Miles hates him. While talking, she walks to the sewing room and suddenly hears Flora screaming. She looks through the window and sees Flora submerged in the swimming pool. She rushes to save her, diving into the pool. As she swims toward Flora, she grabs her and pulls her under, but Kate manages to break free and realizes it is a mannequin, not Flora. Flora and Miles appear from the side, laughing at their prank. Angered, Kate orders them to go inside. Later, Kate sits in the bathtub, still in shock from the earlier incident. She dips her head into the water, lost in thought, and suddenly notices Miles. When she emerges from the water, no one is there, but Kate is deeply terrified. In her room, Kate sits in deep thought, switches off the light, and hears a noise. Startled, she quickly turns the light back on and falls asleep. Miles then appears, standing in front of her, staring, and touches her cheek. Kate suddenly wakes up, alarmed, and he explains that there was a spider on her and crushes it. He mentions her lights were on, so he assumed she was awake. He sits on the bed and apologizes for his behavior. Kate asks about his school, questioning why he hurt that boy. Miles replies that the boy burned every picture his father had sent him and confesses that he misses his dad. Suddenly, he kisses Kate and she tells him to leave. Before leaving, he asks if he can teach her horse riding tomorrow. Reluctantly, she agrees. The next day, Miles teaches Kate horse riding, constantly striking the horse with the whip. Kate protests, but Miles explains that Quint taught him this way. The animal is strong, and without exerting power, one cannot gain control. Flora suggests they go to the koi pond, and they ride together. At the pond, a crow is eating a fish that is still alive. Miles rushes toward it. The crow flies away, and he stomps on the fish, killing it. Kate finds his behavior strange, but Miles simply says that nothing should have to suffer and walks away. Later that night, Kate looks at herself in the mirror, lost in thought, when Miles suddenly appears behind her, startling her and hits her head against the mirror, and she jolts awake, realizing it was a dream. The next morning, Kate wakes up to a presence in her room. It is Flora who says she was just checking if Kate was still there and then leaves. We then see Gross and Kate talking when Miles and Flora burst in, playing loudly and making a lot of noise. Gross asks them to stop and tells Kate that she needs to take charge here. Miles asks if she had a bad dream, but Kate ignores him and suggests that the kids go outside to get a new koi. Flora refuses, and Gross adds that Flora is not allowed to leave the property. Then Miles says, "Let me ask my special friend," and looks into the mirror, asking, "Will you keep me and Flora safe?" He then assures Flora that his friend said there's nothing to worry about, and Flora agrees to go. As Flora and Gross leave the room, Miles turns to Kate and says that his friend thinks her tattoo is sexy, leaving Kate terrified. As she walks away, we see Quint's ghost in the mirror. The scene then cuts to them driving out. Before reaching the exit gate, Flora suddenly insists on stopping the car. Kate insists they should keep going, but Flora starts crying and tries to get out. Miles tells Kate to stop the car, and when she doesn't, he yells that he will kill her if she doesn't stop. Kate halts the car. Flora cries as both she and Miles get out. As Kate tries to leave, Miles slams the door and angrily warns that lights won't keep her safe, leaving her frustrated. Next, we see Miles and Flora in the stable. Kate goes there to meet Flora, but Miles stops her and begins speaking rudely to her. Kate tells him to stop talking to her like that. Miles says that she is neither their mother nor family, so she should stop pretending to be. Hurt by his words, Kate decides to leave the mansion. On her way out, she calls her friend and explains the entire situation, saying she wants to leave this mansion and come back home. Her friend supports her decision, but Kate says she can't leave Flora as she promised her she wouldn't. Kate then returns to Flora and apologizes for not stopping the car. She tries to restore normalcy, teaching Flora how to put on a brave face, and gradually, things settle down between them. Kate then goes to talk to Miles. She tells him that she knows he was close to Quint. Miles admits that Quint was his friend. Kate says it must have been tough for him when Quint died and offers to talk if he wants. Miles, however, gets up and moves to the drum, playing it loudly. Kate tries to talk to him again, but he keeps drumming to interrupt her. When she asks him to stop and he doesn't, Kate quietly leaves his room. Kate then approaches Gross and asks if Miles was the reason Jessel left. Gross says no. Jessel left because of Quint. There was something going on between them. Kate insists that's no reason to run away. Gross explains that things went badly. Quint was a brute. After the kids' parents died, he acted as if he owned the place and even moved into the master suite. Kate asks how Quint died. Gross says he had an accident a few weeks after Jessel left. He fell from his horse while drunk and died in the dirt. Kate asks about Miles' relationship with Quint. Gross reveals Quint was a terrible influence, often taking Miles away for hours. Otherwise, Miles is a sweet boy. Kate protests that the Miles she knows isn't sweet. but Gross dismisses it, and frustrated, Kate leaves the room. Later that night, Kate hears a door creak open. Curious, she investigates and finds multiple Polaroids of women in obscene situations. She sees Quint's reflection in the mirror, and a door slams shut. Kate flees through another exit. She then finds Jessel's diary, which details her torment. Quint would sit next to her at dinner, reeking of whiskey, wouldn't leave her alone, and Mrs. Gross did nothing to help. Jessel slept with her door locked as Quint tried to enter at night. She felt his eyes on her constantly and woke up to a photo he left on her bed, realizing she was not safe and had to leave. Kate discovers the photo of Jessel in an obscene condition. Suddenly, she hears a hoarse neigh and the crack of a whip. The scene shifts. Kate is chasing Miles on horseback, pleading with him to return. During the chase, Quint appears in Miles' form. Suddenly, Flora appears in front of her, and Kate falls off the horse, jolting awake and realizing it was all her imagination. At that moment, Jessel's ghost appears before her, terrifying Kate and leaving her frozen. Jessel pleads for help, and a drop of blood falls on Kate, waking her fully. Beside her lies Jessel's diary, and Kate realizes that everything she experienced had only been in her imagination. Later that day, Flora shows Kate one of her drawings and says it's her and Miss Jessel. Flora then asks Kate to play flashlight tag. Kate refuses, but Miles interjects. "But you promised." Flora insists, and Kate finally agrees, asking about the rules. Miles explains, turn off all the lights, and she has to find them using a flashlight. If she flashes them, they lose. Miles and Flora rush off to hide. Kate notices a photo of Quint on the table with the kids before going to find them. Suddenly, someone runs past her, and she hears a voice from behind. She moves forward, opens a door, and catches Flora. Then she hears a noise downstairs and asks Flora if Miles is there. Flora replies, maybe. Kate heads downstairs to find Miles. Downstairs, she enters a room and sees someone leaving. She follows, saying she doesn't want to play anymore. She opens another door and moves forward. Suddenly, she hears a sound, and Jessel's ghost appears beside her, but Kate doesn't notice. Then, she hears something from behind, and finally spots Jessel's ghost. Terrified, Kate runs and slams the door shut. Suddenly, someone snatches her flashlight. Scared, she moves forward. Then, someone strikes her with the flashlight, and she pleads with Miles to stop. Someone blows into her hair, and again, another gust hits her, causing her to bump into a mannequin. Terrified, Kate rushes upstairs, only to find Gross, Miles, and Flora sitting in a room. Gross asks about her face, and Kate notices her nose is bleeding. She yells that she's had enough of the games, claiming Miles has been terrorizing her since day one. Gross tells her that Miles has been sitting quietly with her for 15 minutes, and that the only one causing terror is Kate herself. At that moment, Kate sees Quint's ghost in the mirror. She turns, but no one is there. The children start laughing at her, and she runs to her room.
You're still watching? Good. Like, comment, and subscribe to Recapss Horror.
Terrorized and confused, she goes to wash her face. As she bends down, we see a glimpse of Jessel's ghost in the mirror, which vanishes when she straightens up. Eventually, she sees Jessel's ghost clearly in the mirror, both wearing the same expression. Frightened, Kate leaves the bathroom and sits on her bed. Suddenly, a hand crawls across her body and vanishes. Then another hand appears from the other side, crawling over her, and keeps haunting her, tear her clothes before disappearing completely. Just then, the doorknob starts shaking violently, and the door opens. Flora enters and asks, "Bad dreams?" She says she's going to sleep with Kate, and climbs onto the bed. Kate gathers some courage, holds Flora, and lies down, though she remains visibly terrified. The next morning, Gross gives Kate a mail, saying it came for her. Kate asks if she opened it. Gross replies that it arrived like that, and then asks, "Who is Darla?" Kate says, "My mother." Gross comments, "Well, we can't choose our family." Kate opens the envelope and finds strange, unsettling sketches inside. Gross teases, "Whatever your mother has, let's hope it's not genetic," and Kate begins examining the drawings. Later, Kate's phone rings. She picks it up, and it's Darla, saying, "They're going to throw me out." Kate tells her she's been seeing things herself. Darla asks, "Did you see the drawings?" Just then, a nurse calls Darla, and the call disconnects. At that moment, Kate notices wet footprints on the floor, moving towards a window. Kate looks out the window and sees Jessel in the distance, walking into the woods. Kate rushes to follow her, but arrives at a pond where she sees Jessel standing in the middle of the water. Suddenly, Jessel vanishes, and someone pulls Kate into the water. There, she finds Jessel's dead body and is horrified. Kate quickly pulls herself out of the water and runs back toward the house. Kate calls for Flora and Miles as she rushes upstairs, but she suddenly hears a voice. Following it, she enters what looks like the same corridor glimpsed in her eye at the beginning of the movie. She enters a room and sees the bed shaking. Then she hears a woman gasping under the bed. As she investigates, she finds Jessel in a dying state, water spilling from her mouth. Suddenly, Kate visualizes Jessel on the bed while Quint strangles her, eventually killing her. Quint then turns toward Kate and starts moving in her direction, beginning to strangle her. At that moment, Gross enters and finds Kate choking herself. She grounds Kate back to reality, but Kate insists that Quint killed Jessel and that she saw her body at the bottom of the lake. Gross dismisses her claims, telling her to stop making up stories, and walks away. Kate continues, claiming that Gross knew Quint had killed Jessel. Kate warns that the children are not safe and accuses Gross of knowing everything yet doing nothing. Gross says she's protected the family for years and refuses to let Kate near the children, calling her mad. Kate pushes Gross, and suddenly Quint's ghost appears, pushing Gross off the first floor. Gross falls to her death. Kate immediately rushes to Flora, urging her to leave with her. They run, but Flora pulls free and escapes. Kate then goes to Miles, pleading with him to leave as well, saying that without him, Flora won't follow. Miles hesitates, saying Quint won't let him leave. Kate warns that Quint will soon harm Flora, and eventually, Miles agrees. They flee the mansion and sit in the car. Reaching the main exit gate, they find it closed. Kate sees Quint in the rearview mirror just as the gate swings open, allowing them to escape. The scene then transitions to the earlier moment when Kate is looking at her mother's sketches, hinting that she may have imagined everything. Gross comments, "Whatever your mother has. Let's hope it's not genetic. I guess you can't escape the inevitable." Kate then hears Miles and Flora talking about her. She approaches, and Flora asks Miles what's wrong with her. She looks scary, then runs away from her. Kate asks Flora what's wrong. At that moment, Kate sees Quint's ghost in a mirror, startling her, and she asks Flora if she saw him too. Flora denies it. Miles insists that Quint is dead. She forcefully urges Flora to admit that she saw him. In the struggle, Flora's doll falls and breaks. Kate offers to fix it, but Flora yells at her. Miles tells her she can't fix it, that it's broken, just like Kate. Miles and Flora leave. Kate hears Flora ask why Kate is crazy. The camera zooms into Kate's eye, revealing her sitting on a bed in a sanatorium, inside the empty pool, where her mother was sketching at the beginning of the movie. She rises and sees her mother crouched over the drawings. Suddenly, her mother turns to face her, and Kate screams. With this, the movie ends. The film leaves the ending ambiguous, never revealing whether Kate has completely lost her sanity, or if real ghosts continue to haunt her. The mystery remains unresolved. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.